Hi, this is Jim, N4BFR, and I've got the basics on ham speak in the Ham Tech library. Lots of times, hams will use shortcuts, abbreviations, things that came up in Morse code days as a way to talk on the radio, or you still may hear them in Morse code. Good to know some of these shortcuts as a way to make your way through what you're actually hearing. It's not really some strange code, it's just the way we talk in ham radio. First one is OM. That stands for old man. And if you are 13 or 30 or 50 or 90, if you are a gentleman in ham radio, you are generally considered to be an OM. On the flip side to that, if you are a woman in ham radio, you are generally considered to be a YL or young lady. Again, you may be 15 or 50, you're still a young lady in the eyes of ham radio. So that's what YLs. You hear that a lot of times as guys will talk and they'll say, well, yes, my YL gave me a kitchen pass to go to that ham radio event. DX, this stands for distant signal or distant contact. So you might say, hey, I worked some DX the other day. I had a contact with the Cayman Islands. If I'm in America, they're in another country, I made a contact. I've made a DX contact or a distance contact. QSO, that contact was a CUSO. So that is simply an exchange back and forth, a conversation where we had exchange information such as names, call signs, and signal reports, and that all becomes one QSO. When I've got that QSO completed, I want to QSL it. And QSL can typically mean the card that you send or the confirmation that you get through Logbook of the World to say that you both verified it's the same contact. Lots of times it's also just kind of used as an alternative for Roger or okay or yes. QSL, QSL, yep, I heard you, I got it, I copied that information. QSY means you're changing frequencies. So let's say you're on the 146.82 repeater and you want to move over to the 444.34 repeater. You say, hey, I'm going to QSY to the 440 repeater, and that would mean that you moved over there. Next up on the list is QTH. QTH is generally meant to be your operating location. So my QTH is Chamblee, Georgia. That's where I'm at. My QTH is Echo Mike 73. Again, that's my location I'm operating from. Lots of people will say their home QTH. QTH is kind of synonymous with home, so you may not want to say that, but that is one way to say it. QST. QST has a couple of uses. First one is it's generally used at the start of a broadcast transmission. And hams don't broadcast very much, but let's say it's the opening to a net, or it's some information from the ARRL they're sending out, or a version of amateur radio newsline. Those will start to say QST, QST, which means this is a long-form broadcast coming up. You'll also see QST as the name of the ARRL magazine. So if you want to check that out, that magazine is called QST. QRZ, QRZ, that means, hey, contact is done, I'm moving on to something else. So if you're working a station, let's say they're in Parks on the Air, and they've made the contact, you've exchanged the information, you've had your QSO, they're ready to move on, so they're going to say QRZ. That's code for I'm taking another contact now. Time for somebody else to call me. CQ is the formal version of that. When you're first starting off, you might say CQ, CQ, Parks on the Air. But in between contacts, if you know you have other people waiting, you're going to say, all right, thanks, John, appreciate the contact. Now, QRZ, this is M4BFR, Parks on the Air. That's telling people I've moved on and it's time for more contacts on this same topic. QRT. QRT means I'm shutting down my radio. I'm going silent. So it was nice talking to you, but this is all you're getting from me right now. I'm going QRT. 5.9. 5.9 is generally the signal exchange you will get, I'm going to say 9 times out of 10, because most folks just tend to give a 5.9 contact, especially if you're operating in any kind of or special event. 5 is the loudness, 9 is the signal strength. You could get a signal strength that was as low as 2.2 or as high as 5.9, but 5.9 is typically what you hear, especially in a lot of events when you have to do a signal report as part of the exchange. 5NN is something you're really only going to hear in Morse code, but what this is it's 599 in Morse code. So they just do it a different way. NN is only 2 characters. N is 2 Morse code characters. 9 is 5 Morse code characters. So it's a way of shortening code to get the information over to you. So if you're doing Morse code, you're going to hear 5NN in code as you're making contacts as a signal report. 73 is thank you, I appreciate the contact, we're all done, and we're going to wrap up. 73 is also the name of another ham radio magazine that used to be out there. 73 says thank you, it was great to talk to you, and have a terrific day. The low power version of that is 72. So the folks in the QRP groups, QRP stands for low power operation. The folks in the QRP groups will generally say 72 just because it's a low power 73. So just having fun with that. Now, the last one is one thing you're not going to hear on ham radio, and that's 10.4. We generally don't use a lot of 10 codes, and I think you would offend a ham or two if you said 10.4. That's generally thought to be CB or 11 meters, and those are the folks that are really playing with their radios and don't need licenses, and there's a lot of other background there that I won't get into. So I'm going to say 73 for now. That's how I do it. It may not be the only way, but I hope this lesson gets you started.